Welcome to a brand new day and today's live recording of the podcast here on YouTube. It's still an experiment, so those of you who followed along yesterday will know that yesterday, for the first time in forever, as the song goes, we started recording these live to YouTube instead of on Facebook. So we're still experimenting with what that looks like. I'm learning some things as we go. I did discover yesterday that you can't immediately trim a video, which was a little bit frustrating because there was a load of preamble which I couldn't trim off, and created a whole new video instead. So it is definitely a learning exercise. That said, I'm hopeful that today will be a little bit smoother, so we shall see. We're going to crack on straight away with today's episode with a reminder for any people who catch up on the replay afterwards. And I'm thinking particularly of people in the playground and also the folks who get the link to these episodes via email, via the Holy Spirit Love Notes. If you do want to join us live, like Acelia, good morning Acelia, if you do want to join us live, you can do that at 9 a.m. UK time, Monday through Thursday. For the next little while, we're not having any podcast episodes on a Friday because I'm going to be paddleboarding. And I've never done that before. It'll be a first on Friday. And I was all set to go, okay, we'll push it out later in the day. And Holy Spirit was like, just don't do it for Friday. I was like, okay. So that's what we're doing for the next while at least. I don't know for how long, but if you do want to come and join us live, you can do that, like I say, here on YouTube. What I'm going to be doing as well from next week is, for reasons we're going to get to in today's episode actually, on Friday, the intention is that Holy Spirit will plan ahead and give us an outline for next week's episodes. So those of you who come from YouTube over to Facebook to find this, it should be easier for you to do so, because I know for some people who are used to using Facebook and used to watching these episodes on Facebook Live, they were a bit like, I couldn't find you. So there will be a nice neat post up over on Facebook on Friday afternoon with the direct links for next week's episodes. So that's quick housekeeping. For those of you who only follow along on Facebook or get the links via email, it's completely irrelevant, so you can just ignore that. But just trying to make it as easy for people as possible. However, that said, let's get on with today's episode. Because it is time is marching on. Just been joined by the dog. Let's hope she'll be quiet. Welcome to today's episode of the Heaven and Elle podcast. I am your host, Elle Edwards, founder of the Itchy Soul Playground and New Year. And today we're digging into the idea of what are you expecting. Long-time listeners will know that months ago, we explored this idea of expectations. It might have even been a good couple of years ago thinking about it. I don't remember the exact time frame, but I know we have explored this idea of expectations before. Because even in the personal development world, they'll talk about how those things that you expect, you attract them. And there's, this idea got made really popular and famous, the law of attraction, thanks to the Secret book and the film. Quite honestly, I think a load of that is nonsense. I know not everyone's going to agree with me, but I'm just going to put it out there. There's actual science behind why it seems to be that suddenly. So the example we give is my bright yellow car. As soon as I brought a bright yellow car, I immediately started seeing yellow cars all over the place. Because your mind, there's a reticular activating system. And I know some of you have heard me bang on about this before. But the reticular activating system at the back of, there's a collection of neurons at the back of your brain that acts as a filter. And it will filter in those things that it deems important to you. And so I bought my yellow car, and all of a sudden, my mind thinks that yellow cars are important to me. So guess what it does? It filters them in. So there's nothing mystical or leery about this. It does drive me a little bit potty when people talk about how they attracted all this nonsense, because to me it feels like victim blaming. If something really bad happens, you didn't attract it. Yes, you can impact the way that you move through the world with the way that you think. Your mind is incredibly powerful. I'm not saying it's not. But to suggest to somebody, you attracted that with your thoughts, I'm sorry. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not helpful. However, that's not the purpose of this episode. That's just me having a mini side note because it does drive me slightly potty. Your mind will filter in those things that it deems important to you. And yes, you can train your mind. It's the reason why I encourage you with the silver lining spotting. I say to you, the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes, because your mind will literally help you out. Today, though, we're thinking about expectations. What are you expecting in terms of how you do life with God? So as you're going to hear today and over the next couple of episodes, this is a bit of a transparency week. I'm going to be really real with you. Really real, or as real as I possibly can be within the context of this episode, because I woke up this morning feeling tired and the sun is shining. It's a beautiful new day. I had a really fun day yesterday, celebrating my nephew's birthday. It was amazing, and I woke up this morning tired, and I looked at my calendar and I felt overwhelmed, and just like, oh goodness me, it's a lot, God. I don't know how to do all of this stuff. And I felt this invitation, well, explore that with me. I was like, okay. He said, well, tell me why it feels overwhelming. I said, well, I don't even know what we're doing for the podcast yet. We haven't got the Holy Spirit love note. There's this we haven't done. There's that we haven't done. And then there's this we've got to do. And Bubba's like, shh, whoa, just cool down for a moment. And the whisper I heard was, I know the way that your mind works because I created your mind. Now, let's just add the note that everybody's wiring is slightly different. There are some people who, like me, will get potentially overwhelmed by all of the things, even when it's exciting stuff. So I look at my calendar for this week, and there's loads of different bits and pieces in there, and they're fun things. They're not horrible things. It's not like I've got to go to the dentist. Nothing against dentists. Dentists are great. I'm not saying that they're not. But it's not like as if I've got to have a tooth pulled or anything awful. It's all good stuff. It's all great stuff. And yet somehow, because of the way that my mind works, trying to then do other stuff as well, it just feels like a lot. So the whisper from Holy Spirit was, look, I know that the way your mind is wired, because guess what? I created you this way. So do you not think it's possible that I could explore the rest of this week with you in a way that allows you to thrive and move through the rest of the week with joy? I said, yeah, that's probably possible. What would that look like? And he said, well, you tell me, what would it take for you to feel a little bit less overwhelmed by stuff? And so it was one of those occasions where, well, to be honest, it would be really helpful if I knew what we were doing in the podcast for the rest of the week, because then I wouldn't feel like we're scrambling. I feel like we could, schedule it and other people would know what to expect. He's like, okay, then let's do that. I was like, oh, okay, so what are we doing? And then he went, okay, well, in today's podcast episode, you're going to tell this story and explore the idea of expectations. Oh, right, okay. And then tomorrow we're going to do this. And in the next day, we're going to do that. I was like, oh, okay, that was easy. And I don't know if you've ever had those occasions where you just sort of like work through stuff with God, and then it all just sort of goes boom, 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 and you're left feeling like, oh, why was I feeling so overwhelmed? And so the reminder for you, it will be different for you within the context of you being you, of course, because you are you and I'm me. But the whole essence of you here is you being you, the original unapologetic you in that intentional, expectant relationship with your creator. And the fact that he wired you, he created you, he knew exactly what he was doing when he made you, you can explore all of the things with him. Expecting, remember, intentional, expectant relationship, expecting that he wants to do this with you. You are made to thrive. Now, yes, there are days and moments in days and even seasons where you maybe feel like you're not thriving. You might see all of these posts on Instagram of living my best life ever, and it's all these hashtags and pictures of people on the beach and dangling their toes in the water and sunsets and rainbows, and you're there just doing real life, and you might be like, ugh, I'm not living my best life, and you just feel overwhelmed by it all. Two pieces to this. Thing number one, remember, I know you know this, but this is just a reminder for you. Those times when you see people living their best life on Facebook or Instagram, it is filtered. It's one of my biggest frustrations with social media. Even when people show up and they say to you, I'm going to be authentic and real and show you all the mess, it's still a filtered mess. They're choosing which bits of mess to show you. And the danger is you see other people's mess, don't clock on to the fact that it's filtered mess, and you go, oh my word, look at their mess. My mess is so much messier than their mess. And then you go down to comparisonitis, and it just becomes a lot. And it can spiral. So I have, as some of you know, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with social media. I love it for the people that I've met, the connections that we can make, the conversations that we can have sometimes. But the bit that frustrates me is the living your best life hashtag stuff, the stuff that makes it look like life is all beautiful and rainbows and wonderful and glorious all of the time. That's simply not true. That is just not. That's not reality. Even when people go on holiday, you might see pictures of people have gone away, particularly this time of year. It's summer here in the northern hemisphere, at least. I know for some of you it's actually nearly winter, but here in the northern hemisphere it is summertime, and so people are going off on their holidays, and they might be sharing pictures, and depending upon COVID and restrictions, all the rest of it, you'll have that opportunity for freedom and to get out there, and so people will share all of that. Guess what they don't share? They won't share the conflict. They won't share the times when the people that they're doing their holiday with all can't agree on where they're going to go, or the times on the holiday when everybody is literally on their devices, and then nobody's speaking to each other, or insert whatever picture of not living your best life, whatever that will look like. We don't show those pieces because those pieces are boring. There's a quote which I'm going to probably slaughter that says that fiction is real life with all the boring bits edited out. And actually, I think to a certain extent this is true with social media. Social media is real life with all the boring bits filtered out. But the danger is, if we don't recognize this and we don't get those reminders from time to time, we can fall down that trap of thinking that everybody else's life is so together and ours is a mess, and that's just not true. As we're going to explore later in the week, there is actually real beauty in the mess. There's real beauty in you showing up and being authentic about that mess as well. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. That's a story for Thursday. But just the encouragement and the reminder today that we're all making it up as we go along. You will have moments in today that are delightful. You'll have moments that are a bit like, ugh. You'll have moments that are probably a bit boring. That's the reality of day-to-day life. And any temptation you hear to think otherwise, particularly when that comparisonitis comes in, simply is not true. And so I would invite you and encourage you, the invitation today from Holy Spirit is to dig into all of those feelings. This whole conversation around expectations happened because I was real with God about how I was feeling this morning. And weirdly, it's not weird at all, it's just the way that he does stuff. Now I'm feeling much more like, yeah, this is a good day. But if I'd have defined my day by how I felt at about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, you'd say the whole day is terrible and it's going to be ruined. But our days are not defined by individual moments in the day. It's a mixed bag. But the invitation is to explore, be real, be honest with God about how you're feeling in this moment. And then have that conversation. What would it look like? What are my expectations? Do my expectations need adjustment? Perspective. So for example, I might say, right, I expect today to, write 10,000 words and then go live 15 times and all of this crazy stuff. That's just bonkers. I certainly couldn't do that. So sometimes actually exploring this with God then is about shifting and tweaking our expectations. But that reminder that you do all of this with your Creator who loves you so, so much. You don't have to do this on your own. And so I would encourage you, your plaything, if you choose to accept it, is to be real with God. Tell him how you're feeling. I know he already knows, but having that conversation, that's what this is really about. And then ask him, okay, how can I do today in a way that will allow me to thrive? Because that's what we're really wanting to help move you towards. Yes, being an adult can sometimes be a lot. Let's be honest. When we were kids, we thought that school was so much and it was big drama, and perhaps it's just me. But I thought that, when you're an adult and you get to make your own choices and you have your own money and you can do what you want, where you want, and all the rest of it. Oh, when I'm an adult, life will be amazing. And then we become adults and we're like, there's like bills to pay and, responsibility and all this like grown-up stuff. And so sometimes the grown-upping can get a little bit overwhelming and we lose this sense of wonder and delight. Explore that today with God, because actually it's time to bring back the wonder and the delight and allow you to thrive. With that said as well, that final reminder, and the links will be in the show notes, I would encourage you to check out Yui by Design. It's our first one-day event in the Itchy Soul Playground. We're going to be exploring you, the work of art that God created you to be, with a whole day of different bits and pieces. There's more details on the page, yui.com/YBD. It's where you can find out more and come and join us. In the meantime, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for following along. If you're not already subscribed, wherever it is that you enjoy this episode, please do that. And I shall be back tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Celia, I'm glad that you're with me. I thought you would agree. This was a case of perfect timing, because just as we were finishing up, I heard my husband come down the stairs and then the dog jumped off the sofa. And and as some of you know, she has him well trained. I anticipate that any moment now she's going to remind him that he needs to give her a biscuit. Although she hasn't done that yet, so who knows. Anyway, thank you, Celia, for being here with me live as always. I love you so much. I treasure you being here. It's just wonderful. For people who catch up on the replay, of course, thank you for watching the replay. We appreciate you as well. Please don't think I don't. I actually really love tech. I love the fact that we get to share these things, in real time, but then also more widely as well. It is a wonder and a delight to me. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode is called Guard Your Heart. We should be digging into that. This is one of the fun things, actually. I was like, oh, Holy Spirit, it's like, you know what you're doing. One of the really fun things about knowing what's coming up later in the week, we can allude to it and give you little teasers. But tomorrow's episode is called Guard Your Heart. I'm going to say no more than that. But the link to get the reminder to be here live, I don't remember what the words are for that, that will be available later on today as well. Anyway, Celia, thank you. Have yourself a wonderful day. Folks who catch up later, thank you to you too. I shall find the button now. It is there. Good. Right. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.